Well, good afternoon and welcome along once again to the LPGA Tour of Korea. This is the third round of 4 with some Stableford action for us this week. Hung Yoo-min has been basically red hot from the opening shot of her round as she is through now 45 holes of the competition, finds herself with a 5-point advantage. A little bit quiet today with the rest of the field doing their best to try and keep pace with what she was able to produce on Friday. 17 points combined. Lee Dayan jogging through the trees. That's never a good sign. Something has gone awry. Finds herself up 32 spots with a wonderful round in progress at plus 13 with only 3 holes remaining in her day. Kwon So-yeon, she has worked herself up to plus 20. That is tied for 7th and is staring down a birdie. A little right to left, and the weight is right there to match it. Plus 22, she goes inside of the top 5. Call it 5 birdies now on the day, T4. Ri Seung-yeon has been gradual improvement from the very beginning of this tournament. Posted a 2-bogey round on Thursday, had 2 more yesterday, but many more birdies to follow it. So far through 10 holes of play, she is yet to record a square on the scorecard. Years of age and in search of just win number 2. She has a runner-up this season coming back in July. Just won over 2 times in the top 10 this season. It's a little bit quick and approximately 7 feet closer to the fringe than she needed to be. Pin seeking to try and continue to mitigate any potential fallout from sending that initial drive over into the trees. And Kim Soo-ji lets an opportunity for birdie go by the wayside at number 12. She had a negative score yesterday, which in Stableford golf is the furthest thing from what you're after. Through 12 holes today, she has only picked up 4 points. Lee Ji-hyun 7, who was one of the toughest to keep up with yesterday. Birdies left and right. It has not been a repeat performance today, to put it mildly, as she nears the turn. Has lost the stroke from her net score at 18 points. Now Park Hee-young, her 3rd on the par 5, just a little lift over the sand. Lands that pin high and will stop in a very makeable birdie range. Really tight line that Lee Ji-hyun 2 tries to navigate, but her misses to the outside right. Also at a negative balance at the turn, 38 strokes on the way out. Ida, this will see her go down, but it is just the bogey. More than a decent recovery effort from having gone out into the trees. Second on the back nine end of the round, but keeps herself in the podium places. Kwon So-yeon pulls 8-iron out of the bag on the par 3. A little left to right breeze. Doesn't have any impact whatsoever on that tee shot. Lee Jung was hardly a thought at the end of Thursday when she only picked up the 1 point. Yesterday was net 12, today 7, amassed through 13 holes. It is only 9 off the top. A little bit short on this approach, however. For par, uphill, a little left to right break for Lee Ji-hyun, 7, trying to stay at plus 18. And not quite enough. Takes off just before the hole, and that will cost her a solo point, and she'll hope that it's only that. Next is Kim Bial at 19. She has gone through hot and cold streaks throughout the week. On pace to post a tournament best thus far. Take quite the effort for Hung Yim-min to do that today, with the 17 she had yesterday making her comfortably ahead. This also slightly uphill. Might fade away from us left to right. Would take her to 31. Under hits it. She will settle for a par on the way out. It is a 35, bogey at 8. A couple of birdies as well. Sung-yeon has birdie number 5 today. She moves within 3. A simple finish for Lee Ji-hyun, 7, unfortunately going in the opposite direction. Her second bogey of the front 9. She hits the turn, having lost the 2 points. So we begin the West Course next, and we begin with a par 5, 483 meters, a dogleg right, and uphill from the tee shots to the fairway that waves its way down with the mountains up in the background. 240 to 220, that's the average driving distance, 7 meters to be precise, up into the fairway. That is quite narrow all the way down. The second shots are almost always uneventful and inconsequential, heading towards the left green today, with the pin placement in this third round towards the right side, but middle depth, but only 5 yards from the right fringe. gallery filling the stands at number 10. And by virtue of being the leader, she also has the benefit of being in the featured and final group. And we'll start this back 9 comfortably in front, though Lee Seung-yeon is doing her best to keep the pressure on her heels. Despite the birdies not really accompanying her much today, the driver remains scorching hot. It's a blistering first shot on this par 5. Back to 13, Kim Soo-ji with a really nice haul of points. Just outside of the top 10. It's her third birdie of the day without a single bogey. And of course she'll be disappointed if it's not a win, but to be able to be consistently towards the top like she's been the last few weeks. It's been performance after performance after performance to behold, which is more akin to Imi Jung from a couple of seasons ago now. But has found the right combination, putting it all together today. Now Kwon So-yeon, our leader after round 1, shortchanges that. 2-putt par. Bang Shin Shil, 50-degree wedge inside of 100 meters. Kim Min-byul, it's a simple tap-in par on the par 4. She goes just 8 back now, then 4 birdies. After the quick consult, picks the club, picks out the point at which she wants to land, and does precisely that. Nice second shot. Floating up from the fairway to about 8 paces past the hole, Lee Seung-yeon continues to put herself in good positions to try and reel this one in. Hung Yoo-min. She has just gone left of the fairway, 219 meters on this second shot. Reached for a little extra, but she'll be disappointed that she is in a worse patch of rough than she had been for that shot. And for Glenn Sheen-Shield, that is 3 birdies in the last 4 holes. Doing her best to try and rid some of those bogeys from her game, but she is certainly more often on the right side of the success coin in terms of her aggression. It is birdie bogey par, which means she would be in store for a birdie at the next if that trend was to sustain itself. And Amy Jung just off the front. That wind pushing her back in that direction, keeping her away from the pin. One bogey yesterday and 6 birdies for Jae-hyun 2, who is primed for another to start the back 9. Especially with shots making like that. Less than 5 feet. Should see her within 4 birdies, after she finishes out here at number 10. She hasn't quite been the same since her injury back in 2017. I feel like piece after piece starting to come together. Kim Min-byul, meanwhile, similar story, but on the nascent side of her career. So going up and close. How many times the last 8 or 9 days have we seen her in this kind of situation and somehow find an improbable recovery? Fortunately for her, she doesn't stay on the green this particular time at 10. Pretty remarkable that in her first season as a full-fledged professional, she is already up to number 60 in the global rankings. She has played that level of golf since we began this season in April. And so Yan couldn't quite keep that down. Should be more than satisfied with 2 putts, carry that score over to the next. And 2 shots, leaving her with just 36 meters on a par 5. Reason she is known as a distance type of player. Makes the game really easy when you can neatly set up birdies just like that. The lead is just 3. Lee Seung-yeon is on 10. She has picked up 10 today. 3 off of Hung Yoo-min, who is off the green to begin her back 9 as well. Lee So-mi on 17, 13 points, her collection today. This is moving day of the 2023 Dongbu Construction Korea Land Trust Championship. We'll be back for more Stableford Golf after a quick break. a wonderful Saturday afternoon here at the Iksan Country Club. Can anyone keep pace with Eung Min if she's able to avoid getting herself into trouble? That answer is not likely. Lee Mi-jung is certainly doing her best to throw her hat back in the ring. Been a lengthy birdie, but certainly a very impressive one. Those simplest of tap-ins, it was really a poor start to the day. She'd be the first to admit it. Bogey, bogey, bogey. Not nearly good enough, but she is rectified and started to pick up a couple of birdies. That is the unfortunate side of the game still to be developed and refined for Kim Min-byul. Consistency. Short birdie that she missed keeps her T8. And it was close, but it is indeed back-to-back birdies. Still looking, or excuse me, back-to-back pars. Still looking for her first birdie since number 6, rather. She just drops in. Does not go much deeper than that, mind you, as we go to 16. She is a significant distance to the right of the pin. I'm just looking for a little bit less drama with driver. I think that most certainly classifies for Eung Min. Right down the middle of the fairway. So-yeon starts this right and ran out of speed before we'll ever know if it would have came back. Lee Da-yeon, I'd say, back to the drawing board, but it feels like she's been there for a little while now. Bungjin Shields next at 13, just misses her group mate's ball marker and stops about 5 feet away. Very soon out with a little bit of a headwind. Arrives some 5 yards before the pin. Back-to-back pars for Kwon So-yeon, cooling off a little bit in the final 5 holes. 125 8-iron EJ Hyun 2 at 11. Makes a beeline towards the left side of the green and lands nicely. I don't think it would be unfair to suggest that she's lacking a little bit of precision right now, Hung Yumin. Not playing poor, but as she's cooled off, she's allowing the rest of the field to close that gap slightly. Kim Min-byul underhits. Taking her time to ensure she's got her line. Downhill, and Lee Seung-yeon would be one back with the birdie, but broke away too quick on her. Lee Mi-jung, meanwhile, all smiles with a great round in progress, despite no birdie there. Well, she's due for one. Still a relatively bitter pill to swallow, watching that come so agonizingly close. She's certainly in a rut. Half a dozen holes now since she last saw a birdie. Kim Min-byul on a bit of a cold spell right now to keep that quiet train rolling. Lee Ji-hyun's 7 to go to plus 21. No, just wouldn't break at the very end. Off on the approach, and next. It's an uphill effort. It's going to break right to the left. Was supposed to break. Might have. She ran quite the tight line, and it will end up costing her a bird. She'll even 100 out on 14. Comes to rest almost exactly where it lands. We'll revisit the tournament thus far for Hung Yoo-min. The story of how we got here. It's been both sides of the spectrum, elation and frustration. More of the former than the latter, but there have been these moments. She's gotten herself into a spell of trouble. That was round 1. Yesterday, meanwhile, again with this hybrid, that is either right on the money or it's in trouble. Off she goes again into the trees, or off she had gone into the trees. So we'll be hoping that today is a different story on 12. Even the very best get these holes with some creeping and lingering doubt. This looks left again. Avoids the trees and will actually be in a fairly decent spot, avoiding the worst of the rough. Maybe she was gesturing out of habit. And Kwon So-yeon off the green, looking for her birdie. The line is fantastic to the very end. Decent on at the par 3, nothing to write home about. And now the rookie. definitely where the doubt can creep in. She did everything right. It's a putt she makes 9 times out of 10. Young, the opposite problem, a bit too much speed. Well, now knowing that a miss means negative points, Dayan has to work backwards. It's her last hole. She certainly does not want to conclude Saturday with a bogey. Speed looks good, the line just so slightly off. Let's go to 12. 124 on the par 4. She wanted to be almost exactly in the middle. She goes a little bit deep. Certainly that tailwind helping to influence the remaining roll on it. Approach comes up lacking. It's going to be something of a war of an attrition for her until she gets that one birdie just to inject some life back into her round. Onwards to 15 with Pak Ju Young.
Oh, nice. Nice.
As precise as she could have hoped for, and 6 feet. Maybe a touch right to left, and she will be seeing 20 points beside her name. Despite being left, despite being off the green, the silver lining will be the fact that she is perched above the hole. the green quite quickly, and we can see we're getting a little bit of debris from the falling leaves around this hole. Looking at the weather, there hasn't been a ton to complain with, but 5 meters per second is certainly faster than it's been all week long. 22-degree and overcast day for this moving day third round at the 2023 Dongbu Construction Korea Land Trust Championship. Hung Yoo-min's lead remains at 3. would have been a big one for Kim Min-byul as she looked down from the fringe at an eagle. Could have been a pickup of 5. She'll settle for the birdie of 2. And what that will do for her round is quite simple. It will buoy her back up towards the top. Shil 116. Just gonna roll through that fringe. It's the type of hole that this Stableford scoring system is made for, to reward the aggression. The approach hasn't really given her too many issues today. It's been converting on her putts. Kim Min-byul has done just that. Moves within 3 birdies of the top. Back into the top 5. Still a bogey-free round, 17 down, 5 made on the day. Not quite be at a point to say desperate, but it's certainly leaning in that direction. Has not birdied since the 6th hole. Trying to avoid a second bogey over this dry spell as well. Anything but a simple putt. It's gonna snap right. She gave herself too much. Back to where she was at hole 2. She still has to make that putt for bogey. Can't necessarily blame the course either. He's So Me, who is just a birdie back of her now, was able to find 15 points today. For Hung Yoo-min, quite simply, she needs some birdies, which is exactly what Ying Jung has found on number 17. Give her 5 on the day, she goes to T7, and only 6 back. Bun. Would have been a nice way to end this 3rd round. Slips to the left and we'll tap in for par. The 1 bogey on the card, up into the top 5 with a really nice ascent in this moving day round. Now he's Seung-yeon. It was 231 off the tee, leaving her with just 81 meters to go. He's gone with the 56-degree wedge. Expecting lots of backspin that never quite comes to fruition. She'll just inside of the fringe and a long-awaited birdie. 2 holes to break the streak. That is now 6 on the day. It's been a weekend for the young stars. And you mean hoping to get a bit of a jolt back here on the par 3. 9-iron. Splits the difference between her partners. Everyone's quite some distance back from the pin. And the chasing pack is not quite so far anymore. Only +2 today through 12, and Lee So-mi in with a round of 15 points, just a birdie back. Lee Seung-yeon also tied at 26. Pun Shin-shil, after her birdie, moves into sole possession of 4th at 25. 75 minutes through moving day, and more groups coming through to conclude their rounds, including Amy Jung, who is up 8 spots today, back into the top 10. She is a little bit short on this particular approach, mind you. It is a cloudy day with some breaks, but also some rain. It's going to be an interesting final 90 minutes or so. The updated race to the WeMix Championship, you want to be in the top 60. Not only are there some great prizes for those who finish in the top 5, which is currently EA1, Kimin Biel, Imjini, and company, but is also a push to guarantee your spot on the tour next season and the ability, to avoid needing to qualify after the season is done and dusted. Winds really picking up. It has been a steady increase since we came on the air about an hour and a quarter ago. It is a pitching wedge for Bangshin Shil. Her best round of the week, her best round in some time. She certainly is in a wonderful position to try and make some noise tomorrow. Has to get to the finish line, of course, today first, but within 5 is a great place to be. Within 2 is even better, which is the case for Lee Seung-yeon, who has gained 10 through 14 holes. Drive into the fairway. Well, around the tree, and we come back out the other side. Amy Jung, disappointing way to end the day. Isn't much to complain about in this round. One of just 2 bogeys all in, but she is back into the top 10. Certainly vast improvement from her opening round when she was only able to record the 1 point. Kim Min-byul, no such problems. Plus 12 is certainly the score she wanted, but a plus 10 is still her best round of the tournament thus far. Tied for 5th as she exits the course. We have Hung Yoo-min, Lee Seung-yeon, and Pang Shin-sil as our main trio that we will be keeping the closest eye on their way into the clubhouse. Kwon So-yeon down on page 2. She's still out there with the likes of Lee Ji-hyun too. See how much we can affect this leaderboard before day's end on this wonderful Saturday afternoon at Iksan. turning. The birdie in the corner of the green, but instead, it is a 2-putt par. It's just been kind of how the day has gone. Still a goose egg. With only a handful of holes to play. No Pengxin Shield. On a great run with plenty of birdies. Now she's trying to do the preventative game. Slips in a par, keeps that score intact. That's plus 25. Very Zunyan, just off the fairway, but only 117 to go. She can afford to be a little bit longer here on the approach. Animated green showing you that there will be a tendency to come back down, which could do her a big favor, but needs to strike the ball well. A little bit short, and the wind actually playing fairly calm for her. I have to think that if she had been in the fairway, she would have been able to manipulate that exactly how she would have wanted. Young will straddle the fairway between the two greens. Heels together and essentially a putter stroke just to get this started. It's a little bit slow. The visible frustration doesn't do much to dissuade us from that line of thinking. That's not where she wanted that to end up. It's just the one birdie on the back nine thus far, only 2 on the day, 7 and 10. Can move to a tie for 7th if she finds this. Did not break an inch to the left. Spent a lot of time in preparation for that shot, but unfortunately it's almost a complete misread. Park Ji-young starting it back, and also not the stroke she had envisioned. So again with a little pitch and roll. Call that 4 feet past the pin. More and more groups coming through, finishing their days. Still showing some rain in the forecast despite a nice contrast of green across this Iksan Country Club 2023 Dongbu Construction Korea Land Trust Championship, still with plenty of twists and turns before we know who will become the third winner here. Of course, the defending champ, Lee Ga-young, she made the cut, but she is well off the mark. Down 17 shots from the lead. All smiles for Lee Seung-yeon. She marches in towards 18, which is where we find this most recent set of approaches. First effort is well off the line as we go back to the 15th with Hung Yoo-min. Park Ji-young, confusing me with the Saturday pink as well. Overhead send-off line, she'll mark off and reset. Here's Hung Yoo-min. That's the information I've been given. Four holes to go. The advantage is still just 2. It is 8 over her partner, Lee Ji-hyun 2, who birdied here yesterday. I'm trying to do too much with the driver, and that will pay dividends as she finds the fairway without incident. And you mean quite literally couldn't ask for any better. Birdie Thursday, birdie Friday. Be hoping it will be birdie Saturday. She has gone almost half a round without one, which is unlike her based on her first 36 holes. So that effort is a good one to start into the fairway. Maybe sacrificing a little bit of power just to ensure she lands where she needs it. Suji gets closer on her final hole. We head to the final par 3 for Lee Seung-yeon. She's short. It's the wrong club. It is a long way off. Shouldn't. And that is highlighted and underlined. Be at risk of the creek, but it is not a great tee shot. Regardless of the results. It's a 17, 234 meters the first drive. Pengxin Shield with about 140 to go. With that little extra power, the rookie is able to reach, and she won't mind if this is all the way to the back. That's what she'll face for eagle. 2-putt birdie would be a good boost. Heading into the final hole of her round. There's just a little runner through the fringe. Kwon So-yeon. Call that 6 feet. It's the narrowest of margins. Hung Yoo-min leading Lee So-mi and Lee Seung-yeon by just 2 strokes. Pengxin Shield is likely to go to 27 momentarily. Our leader, though, has 4 greens left to try and find the 30s and create a bit of a cushion on this moving day at the 2023 Dongbu Construction Korea Land Trust Championship. As we resume, Lee Ji-hyun 2 gets closer. Kim Soo-ji finds herself on the dance floor. One last chance at a birdie to vault herself into the top 5. Her work's cut out for her. There's no two ways about it. There it comes. Starts to dive a bit early. That little extra pace is probably gone missed anyways. Certainly far better than she had fared over the course of 18 holes yesterday. Same cannot be said for Hung Yoo-min, who is on pace for her lowest score of the tournament, but she loves a late round push. 105 at 15, dead center of the fairway. With a very kind pin placement in this third round, and she makes the absolute most of it. 9 holes she's waited, and that is a smile of pride. It is also a smile of relief. Digs in nicely just before the pin. Comes, there's the break, just in time. Absolutely sensational. Hung Shin-shil, an eagle. And yes, you're not reading that wrong. A new leader. She certainly was hoping for that, but was not expecting it. I don't think we were, I don't think the gallery was. But it doesn't make it any less special. Look how much work was still to be done at the very end. The very first to see 30. It is a rookie shootout. On to 16, Lee Seung-yeon. She finds herself trailing by 2 birds now. Starts the run, sails past by about 4 feet. Kwon So-yeon from 13 all the way in, pars across the board, plus 22 as she exits the course. Kim Soo-ji much better today. 8 points combined, a bogey-free round into the top 10. Let's quite say through no fault of her own. But what we can say is our fellow rookie has brought the thunder in the third round. She is yet to be able to match it. Ji-hyun 2 from off the green. It's a decent try with, unfortunately for her, nothing to show for it. This was the setup for Hung Yumin. She patiently waits her minutes to make it official. The eagle. Hung Shin-shil. The 20s taken over. The weekend of the freshmen, in many senses, has been the season of the freshmen so far. Park Ju-young getting closer. Speed was there, line was not. Surely nothing she can find fault with that putt, just also nothing to reward her for the effort. So 37 on the way out, which is 0 in the aggregate score, and not quite able to shift into drive on the way in. And this is right on the money. That is relief, that is exhilaration, and that is birdie number 2 today. Lee Ji-hyun 7 back into the top 10. Ji-hyun 2 gets it there with her second putt. Yumin at long last is able to make it official, so Hung Shin-shil's time at the top all by herself is short-lived. 3 holes for our now co-leader to snatch the advantage right back. Peng Shil. She's found something, hasn't she? Turning up the wick at the right time at the end of the day. First effort on the last par 3 of the day from AJ 7 is decent. Nothing to write home about. The putt for birdie certainly could be. Similar yardage out, but right instead of short. Sun-Yun looks indecisive. Rolls that out in the rough, but avoids the worst of it. So 2 at the top now in the final 3-hole stretch. Par 3, par 4, par 5, and that's it. Peng Shil on 18. That's where we will head when we return 2 weeks on. We absolutely love coming back from break with a special putt just like that. ENG Hyun 2 with a full 360-degree rim around the hole and a birdie. We are certainly seeing her fade out of the fight. She would have to have some kind of monumental day tomorrow, but certainly the top 5 is within reach. This will be the shot that has the players, the supporters, and everyone abuzz. An eagle in crunch time. Wouldn't be for the same hollow points, but it would certainly be consequential. Just about another. So she'll tap in. Well, it took her 36 holes to get 15 points today. She met that in 18. Is a co-leader as she exits. She is in hot pursuit of win number 2. Young Yumin certainly will have something to say about that. She can take the lead right back. Here comes the break. Not the speed. So it'll be a push heading to 17. Deposits that along. Second shot from towards the tree line for Lee Seung-yeon. Slightly under hit by Lee Jae-hyun, 7. She'll be staring down par as well. First par secured. Leaves us with just 2 as the hour has moved into 3 p.m. local. Just south of Seoul here in Korea. It's hole 52 of the event. Now in the rearview mirror. Time to pick it up. As long as she doesn't bogey, she'll start the day at least as the leader, but she'll know she has a pretty good opportunity here to claim it outright. Lee Sungyeon. It is 79 meters from the fairway. She can go birdie birdie to end the day. Should be at least in second. Lands with a thud and a roll. Not many people that would have much to complain about with that. And this is our bird's eye view and our tour of hole number 17. 454 meters is the distance. Over the water into the wide and welcoming fairway. Tee shot that leaves on average 200 to 240 meters to go. And around the tree line, the dogleg left, and the sand begins. Only the truly bravest of the fields would try and reach. We've seen that be successful. We saw it lead to Shane Shields' eagle. And because of that putt that is now imprinted in our memories, we know the pin today is about midway through the depth of the green and 5 yards from the right fringe. No drama on the first shots. Young Min is next. Hit with some venom like we know she can. And coming on back. Young was about a foot too much to the left for the break to assist her as it had done Pangxin Shield about 20 minutes ago. Should end up with nothing less than a casual birdie. T60, now her third birdie of the day.
살짝. 그냥 네, 알겠습니다. 이동 먼저 주세요.
She feels stymied, and you can understand why. Just taking your last preparatory glance. Find what can now be amicably dubbed Pakju Zone. Not quite as dramatic, but she lost that luxury by pulling the drive towards the trees. And now Hung Yumin. Yumin went for it as well, and she almost cleared the back of the green. Eagle seems slim on 17. That's kind of the point, though, isn't it? Not supposed to be your every day or every hole occurrence. Sunyan holds it just a little longer. Delivers an arrow. Just skip into the first cut of rough, but it's a very playable position. Well, it is 3:15 local. Pengxin Shil Hung Yumin continue to lead on this moving day Saturday. 2 holes to play for our featured group here at Eagsun. you back as we bear witness to the first of 2 eagle tries. That's the appetizer, then this could be quite the main course. Final preparations and planning is done. How dramatically a round and a tournament outcome can change the 5-point haul. The debris is moved, and Hung Yamin is ready. No hesitation as she attacks. It's coming back online. She gave it her best go, and her best was nearly perfect. Birdies in the last 3 as she starts to right this ship. She does take the lead. She'll have one final hole to pad it. Lee Seung-yeon is ready with her 8-iron in hand. Finds herself trailing by 3 birdies now. Get that to sit on and off the green in the blink of an eye. This looks like it's got a slim chance. It is 3 ultra long range attempts that all narrowly come up short. And Yamin is already at the blocks on her 54th hole of the tournament. It wasn't a very long time at all, was it? Or she wasn't the leader. Maybe enough of a wake-up call to refocus for the final home stretch. Ji-hyun-2 with the honor of the first tee shot. That's an unfortunate carom that sends her out into the rough. And Hung Yumin will be joining her partner in the rough. Hardly perilous. But it will be another fairway not reached in regulation. Anything but an even line, and she still strikes that almost to perfection. Well, but certainly a par to come to make it official. Everyone's away. It's been a rather quick day today with our field cut down quite significantly from the 108 that started, the 106, excuse me, that returned yesterday to the 61 that made the cut. She won't have much to be overly displeased with. But any and all golfer will always believe they left a birdie or two out there when they do anything but step off the green in the lead, and oftentimes, even when they do that, the sentiment remains. Simple finish. Erdegergren Bakayong, who picks up 5 points today and is well on the way to a top 20 finish tomorrow. Just needs to find any replication of her consistency today. It'd be a great result for her. End of the line today for each AN2. And she went in the opposite direction she would have been hoping for, but still seemingly in good spirits. thunderous applause, and very rightfully deserved. 4 birdies on the front 9. She had one more at 10, and then all pars the rest of the way. That is a brilliant third round performance. One that keeps her within thought of a podium at the least. She shares that now with Isomi. And then there were 3. Rest of the approaches is able to reach, albeit less than a pace from the fringe. Out in the bleachers. We don't see that too often. Everybody's okay. Nobody seems in too much distress, though likely quite the surprise. It was a blind approach. EG 7 is only now just getting word where that ball ended up. Looking for that last little bite. Stop just off the green. A certain putt yesterday for Eagle comes to mind from about that distance. Jihyun 7 goes over to apologize and take her drop in the spray painted circle.
볼은 여기 있습니다. 여기 저 있는데 여기 다 놀랐어요. 뒤쪽이 좋아.
Well, she's found it. Everybody's okay. And they got a surprise visit that I'm sure they weren't expecting to today. And now she'll prepare to play her drop from the free relief. That's not a penalty because those seats aren't supposed to be there. They're not a natural obstacle, so that's why they keep this spray painted circle at the ready. Bent at the knee, level with her knee, she'll play the drop and then chip with what will be her third shot. Sun paces out a quick scan to try and identify a landing point and any potential breaks. Here's her chip and played that wonderfully. Took the exact right amount of speed off. Really good effort from what could have been the type of shot to throw anybody off their rhythm. One last step out to reset. It's one of the last real questions today. Is it a 4-point lead heading to the final round tomorrow, or just 2? Super downhill. She plays it cautiously. But the nudge she gave it, not nearly enough, and maybe the variable we hadn't considered, the lead might just be the 1 if she goes on to bogey this. It's another effort that is under hit. The line would have stayed true for her all the way. Yumin has not been able to secure the par at the last. Seems a bit fitting for a day that saw a few more bogeys than she would have liked. In fact, there were 3 of them to go along with her 4 birdies. So she finishes with 5 points earned and will start the final round tomorrow with the slimmest of leads, just the 1 stroke. And paying the price for under-hitting her approach from the fringe. Same fate, not suffered by Lee Ji-hyun, 7. 38 on the front 9, 34 on the way in. What in a normal scoring day would be even par today, still sees her pick up 2 points for those birdies. And that concludes the day. Lee Ji-hyun 2 started with 3 bogeys on the bounce, but those behind her would not find another for the rest of the afternoon. So tomorrow when she begins, the deficit to which she will try to overcome will be 7. It is Hung Yumin by 1 stroke over Pang Xin-shil, 31 points and 30 respectively. Lee So-mi and Lee Seung-yeon finish tied for 3rd at plus 26 after 54 holes. Lee Ji-hyun 2 plus 24. We'll get to our 3rd round highlights momentarily, and then we'll cut you loose to enjoy your Saturday evenings. Well, here we are then, and we'll start all the way back at the par 5 second. Start of the day comfortably ahead, and that didn't look like it was going to change. Taking just 2 holes to get into the birdie column, would maintain an 8-stroke gap, but that would soon dwindle as those beneath her on the leaderboard would start to make a charge, including Lee Seung-yeon, who went back-to-back at 2 and 3. Next time Hung Yumin would glance at the leaderboard, she would see that the push was far from over. At 5, Lee Seung-yeon would add a 3rd. It would move her to outright 2nd at plus 22, which is precisely where Lee Dae-yeon had ambitions of going. This was on just hole 2. She, of course, having started her day on 10, went out with a remarkable 10-point haul. Would start to taper off towards the end as we visit her moment at 5. With the flag in the foreground, she plays yet another jaw-dropping approach that she followed up with the simplest of finishes. She'd have a bogey at 3, but back in the birdie column to 23 points she went. We, meanwhile, go to 6. 6 points the lead, par 5 up from Hung Yoo-min. Great little backspin. Well, this yardage is successful 48% of the time. Hung Yoo-min, that number's probably higher. Second birdie of the day, she would become the first to reach the 30-point plateau. Meanwhile, going about her business and showing no signs of slowing down, Lee Seung-yeon with another bird, this time at 7. 4 in a 6-hole span is no small feat. And then on 10, the approach is leaving more of these putts inside of 4 meters. This one's slightly uphill, but just enough speed to use the brake as well. 10 holes through the day, she was at a collective 10 points. On 12, 95 yards out, 50-degree wedge, we weren't paying as close of attention to Pang Shin-shil as perhaps we might have if we had an inkling as to how her round would conclude. 2 birdies on either side of a bogey at 11. Would see her up into the top 5. Hung Yoo-min, her lead was just 2. Lee So-mi certainly turned up the pressure towards the end. And after she was pipped by Pang Shin-shil's eagle, which we'll show you right now, Hung Yoo-min would get the birdie to take the lead back, but this is a huge haul of points. 16% of her score from the entirety of the competition to that point, made up with just one swing of that putter. Hung Yoo-min, meanwhile, on the same 17th hole, electing to putt from off the green the long way back. The weight was divine. But would not be eagle. She would go on to par out the rest of the way until 18, which we had just seen, where she would bogey to conclude the round. So 31 points is where she finishes after 3 rounds. Pang Shin-shil, 1 back, plus 15 today. Same for Lee So-mi. Lee Seung-yeon plus 10. Che A-rim plus 11. Im Ji-ni with a wonderful and slightly under the radar Saturday performance of a plus 12 to move into a tie for 8th with Kim Ji-soo and Kwon So-yeon. Lee Da-yeon also at plus 11. She is tied for 11th with Imi Jung, Kim Soo-ji, and company. So, the conclusion especially makes it all the more exciting as we think ahead to tomorrow's final round. Stableford scoring, a test of wits and skill and everything else that makes this tour special. That's it for us for today from the Iksan Country Club. For our whole SBS Golf crew, I've been Adam Jenkins saying thank you for joining us. Tomorrow, we crown a champion for just the 3rd time at the Dongbu Construction Korea Land Trust Championship. We will talk to you then. Enjoy your Saturdays, everybody.